first one.
I'm going to another level, but I ain't looking for a medal. My reward is a greater one, chosen when the Messiah comes. I ain't saying that I'm better, I ain't ever been one to settle, but my time at this place is over.
Hey everyone, it's Lady D, and I know it's been a little bit since I've been on to do a video, so please don't stone me. So anywho, today I wanted to come on because I just had to share something with you, and also this is going to lead into something that I wanted to discuss. Well, let's see, last week sometime I was going to my car and this young man stopped me, and he stopped me in the right way and everything. Excuse me, because most of the times I'm so focused, my mind is so getting into my truck, or it's like I don't have time for foolishness that I don't even pay attention to when people say certain things to me. But if you come correct, then I will at least give you some time to either keep my attention or for me to keep it moving. So anywho, this guy said, well, excuse me, and I said yes. And it is funny too, because I was like, I have a Tahoe, so you know, the step up into the truck, I was halfway in the truck, my leg in the car, about to sit down when he said, excuse me, did you think I got out the truck or anything? I simply just turned around a little bit while I was still hanging out the car and said yes. And he went on to say, well, you're beautiful, and blah blah blah. And the next thing he said, well, what church do you go to? So I'm still hanging out the door now. I tell him what church I'm fellowshipping with, and I ask him the same, and we go on to talking about different stuff. And at this time, probably about 15 minutes into the conversation, at that time I did step down and close my door. So we're talking, and I'm telling you, it's really a good conversation. That way, you just never know what's going to happen or who you're going to meet. So as I said, initially those steps that I take just wards off foolishness. And when certain people come up to you with foolishness, and that's for ladies and men. There are certain people that you don't even have to seek the Lord on, because there are certain things that you already know. Now, I don't need to seek the Lord on you, brother, because don't even need to bother my daddy with that one. I know that I can discern that one myself. So, but this one we talked for a good hour, standing out there in the parking lot. I'm glad it wasn't cold. And we're talking about a lot of things: church, his life, my life. He wanted to know what I look for in a man, and I asked him, what is he looking for? Tell me about himself, and what does he do for the ministry, and different things like that. Now, and anybody who knows me, if I'm going to sit there and talk to you for an hour, you had to have some things going on for you. And you know what? One of the things that I guess caught my attention was he was really upfront about his situation. One of the first things out of his mouth was, well, I know after we have discussed and talked, and you meet the look qualification for me. This is what he's saying, and I'm paraphrasing, and he just said, you know what, I don't even have anything to offer you right now, what you're worth. And he was saying, I just got laid off from DHL, and I just really, right now, I'm in the search of employment, but I really don't even have anything for you right now to give you what you're worth. So him saying that, I guess gave him some more time, because I appreciate honesty. There's certain things that we can work on together, but the character of a person, that needs to be there. And we can build an entrepreneur. We can build a company. We can be entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? But if your character ain't there, I don't want you. You can be $1 million man, but if you don't have character, I'm not your lady. So anywho. So as I said, we stood there and talked for a while, and make a long story short, because I don't want this to go over too much. And So after he asked me all these questions, at the end I started asking him questions. Well, he said, "Have you ever been married?" I said, "No, but I've been engaged before, and I just didn't work out." And he said, "Well, who stopped the engagement?" I said, "Well, myself. There's some things that I noticed and some things that the Lord showed me when I couldn't see in the beginning, that I just said it's not good to go into the marriage on it." So, and then afterwards I asked him, because he was wondering after we talked and the different things that he found out about me, he was wondering, well, why am I single? And I just said, well, I'm waiting for the Lord's timing, and I'm not in a rush. I've made some mistakes in the past, and I surely am not in a rush these days. So all that in place, I asked him, well, what about you? Why are you single? You seem to be a good catch. And he says, well, I said, have you been married before? And he said, yes, I've been married before, and it ended in divorce. And he told me some things about that. So once he told me he was divorced, on my list, I really don't want to marry someone who's been divorced, and really don't want to marry someone who has kids. I would rather for us just to start new on my end and his end. And so when he said divorce, I said, well, in my head, I'm still listening to me. In my head, I'm still having a conversation. You ever did that, where you're having two conversations at one time, one in reality and one in your head? So when he told me that, it's funny because all the other things seem to be there, at least from our initial conversation, just initial conversation, that I was actually willing, I think in my head, I was willing to at least pray about it. So when he said that, then he said, and then my second divorce, so I'm still listening to him. In my head, I'm like, okay, now what the world? So he's like, my second divorce, I just... it didn't work out. She told me she was a prophetess, and I think I wasn't attracted to her, but I was attracted to, the spirituality part of her. He said I should have known then. So a lot of stuff, I was just moving in my flesh. I understand now. I was just moving in my flesh and didn't want to sin, and so we got married and blah, 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 blah. And then he says, and now this current divorce that I'm going through right now, it's just, at this point I'm just through, but I just don't know how to tell them I'm through. I just don't know how to tell them I'm through. And when I say through, I mean I'm not interested, buddy. No. 1 divorces, I'll pray about it. 2, 3, that's okay. You need to go with someone who's looking for people who have been divorced. And it's good to get to know someone. If you take the time to listen to some, and I've learned this, and so this is experience talking to you. If you take the time to just listen and let people show you themselves, we could avoid a whole lot of things, just like that relationship. That interaction with him. Initially, it seemed like, okay, well, yeah. Then as he began to talk at that, it might have seemed like you wasted a whole hour. But no, I didn't waste a whole hour. That was a good hour. I don't mind doing that again. Just taking time and asking the right questions and discerning and everything. So it was just a real interesting situation. And I asked him, I said, well, buddy, you don't seem like you need to be looking for somebody. And you're in the midst of a divorce right now. He said, well, yeah, but, you just caught me off guard. I wasn't looking, but you just caught me off guard. And now talking to you, I said, and so I'm thinking to myself, buddy, some of the things that, when he first approached me, you look good, you're beautiful, you're everything that I would like physically. Now he hasn't talked to me, he's just saying I match his physical qualifications. And then he said, you're sexy and something else, and he threw that in, throughout the conversation. And so one of the things that I don't like when people call me sexy, I don't think that's a compliment at all. And I'm saying that as for me in my house, I don't like people calling me sexy. I don't take that as a compliment. As a matter of fact, that's like a kind of, it would probably be a pet peeve of mine. I don't like that word and gears to me. My husband can call me sexy, but that's pretty much it. Throughout the conversation, there were certain key words that he kept using as well, but in a tasteful way. But those words just bring ring bells to me, especially after I got to the end and I found out that he has been married 3 times, and it looks like all 3 times have really been part of the flesh. This leads me to another part that I really want to talk about in regards to Christendom, because this man was a man of God, active in the ministry and everything like that. And as he told me his his life story in that hour, and there's just certain things that I discern about him and the road that he's still going down and hasn't learned his lesson. It brings up some good points that I've been wanting to share, but didn't know the right transition or how to bring it about. So I think this is a good way to bring about part 2 in regards to addictions and sexual addictions, sexual impurity, pornography, different things like that in Christendom. And I'm not talking about in the world. It's natural in the world. I'm talking about in Christendom. So there's some things that I'm going to bring up in part 2. So stay tuned to part 2. It's good to see you. Okay, bye-bye.